Hi, I'm Jennifer Potter, Executive Director of Be Well Texas. Too many people are struggling alone these days, and alcohol and drug deaths are increasing. We started Be Well Texas to offer high-quality, science-based addiction treatment and recovery services anywhere, virtually or in person. In many cases, there is no cost for treatment or medications if you don't have insurance. Really. Welcome to Be Well Texas. We're glad you're here. Visit bewelltexas.org.
Andy, the only thing that says Squarin Around that touches this body is made by Elite Sports, baby. You know where to get it, elitesports.com. They have a full slate of athletes that they also support. Use code SQUARE, get 10% off. What do you have to say about the fine folks that we got at Elite Sports?
I think the coolest thing about Elite Sports is they have customized stuff for the athletes. I always think it's cool when athletes have their own merch brand, and they've done an incredible job of supporting the athletes at Texas State in the past and in the future. And as NIL gets bigger and bigger, it's important to have a partner that is going to help make sure our athletes stay at Texas State. Elite Sports does that.
My favorite thing is that vintage Ben McClain shirt that I have. They do that stuff from time to time. So I'm going to probably scoop another athlete here in a little bit for these cold months. You know, might as well rock our stuff. Support the brand, elitesports.com. Use code SQUARE at checkout.
Jacob, there's a reason they call it home field advantage, and it's because of home field apparel. They make sure that you feel like you have an advantage when it comes to your college and your college brand. Look, they do a great job. I grew up a Minnesota Golden Gopher fan, a West Virginia Mountaineer fan. We're going to get the Texas State gear at some point, but they have so many different colleges. They got hats, they got shirts. You do not want to miss it. And let me tell you, the shirts, immaculate. They are the softest shirts I've ever had, Jacob. They're so great.
I'm not giving up on home field. Neither should you. Use code SQUARE at checkout. Support the brand, baby. I hate playing away games too. You're right. Who would want to sacrifice home field advantage?
I feel like I'm in home field advantage every time I'm wearing home field apparel.
Tired of winning the tailgate but losing the games? We can't help that. But we can tell you what the hell is up with each team and what's going on across sunny San Marcos. Texas State fans, get on your feet. You're listening to Squarin' Around with Jacob Rodriguez and Andrew Zimmel.
We are the champions, my friend. I won one,
congratulations.
Buddy.
Huge congratulations to our producer, to the co-host, to the inventor of the podcast.
Oh.
It is Jacob Rodriguez, an Emmy award-winning director. Good shit.
Boom.
Emmy-winning producer. Good stuff.
Thank you, buddy. Yeah. You would, if you tuned into our live show, you'd be like, how'd this guy win a freaking Emmy?
I know. I went back and watched the live show that we did from Hangry Joe's. Want to thank those guys again for letting us do it there.
Shout out.
Look, sometimes we get over our skis. Sometimes and you guys don't know behind the scenes how hard Jacob worked to put that together. He was stressed out. I didn't help him very much when it comes to his stress levels. I got there.
Colton didn't help at all when it came to
Colton didn't help at all.
My brother didn't help at all. My cousin definitely didn't help at all.
No, they booed you. I was here to help.
You were. You did come in in the 11th hour. You came in ready to go.
I got there. We were good to go. I brought my A game. I think that was probably the best game I've ever played. But you know what? Cameras didn't catch it, so that's fine.
The camera did catch it. Parts of it. The first live show that we've done. Audio is not terrible. I mean, it was pretty bad.
Audio was pretty bad. It was okay. Here's the thing.
But luckily at work, a lot of other people helped me out.
Yeah.
And that's really the story of it all. If you try hard enough and you work with a very talented team, you too can also pay for everybody else to get a reward on your behalf.
We're not going to tell how much Jacob spent, but
it's over $400.
Trust me when we say that the swear jar, there's no problem. If he can pay that, he can pay for the swear jar.
Yeah, I get reimbursed actually because I won.
Really?
The Emmys system, if you don't know, now you know, is the most Ponzi scheme.
Pay to play.
Exactly. First, you got to join the local chapter. $80 right then and there. Wow. My membership, by the way, is only good until December, so I got to re-up again, and then it's just they keep catching me. Then you have to pay to submit the award, which is like $200 after taxes and stuff. Whatever. Then you have to pay to go to the award ceremony. So that's already what, like $300 or something like that?
At least we're at 280 plus,
And then if you win, you'll get reimbursed.
Okay.
So,
Well,
I
anyway,
won. I'll get
congratulations
my
to you.
145 ducks back.
Let's do quickly because we want to get to the interview. It's a really good interview.
Yeah, we got Kelly on this weekend or this week.
Huge for you people driving around, and it's a clean podcast, so you can listen to it with your kids. We didn't curse at all. I want to do what we're thankful for. What are you thankful for, Jakey?
I am so thankful for my friends and family and health, which is the biggest thing that everybody should be thankful for. Holy F. The year I had last year to now, health is something I'll never take for granted. Not just my own, but the people in my life who I love.
Yeah, I'm very thankful that Texas State got their bowl eligibility.
Oh my God. That's what you're thankful for?
I am. It's a Texas State podcast. What can I say?
That's true, I guess. I thought
Here's the interview.
Did you know that was going to happen? That I was going to do something for real and you were going to do something fake like that?
100%.
Here's the interview with Kelly Damphousse. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squarin Around. We are joined this week by none other than coming live to us from a nondescript location in Alabama, University President Kelly Damphousse. Kelly, thank you for the show again.
Wait, you guys are recording this?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was just us.
I thought this was just our regular Wednesday thing. Yeah,
that's right.
Our weekly FaceTime call. Yeah.
This might have been.
Well, we should do that anyways.
That's true. Yeah, we do have a nice text chain going. I will say,
That's right. It's good to see you guys. Happy Thanksgiving.
Oh yeah, happy Thanksgiving, Kelly.
Yeah. Well, Canadian Thanksgiving is actually in October, so you kind of miss that. So.
Oh, true. Yeah, I am aware of Boxing Day. I do know that.
Yeah,
holiday.
Boxing Day. Yeah, we actually played our bowl game on Boxing Day.
Oh, okay.
It's 26. That's right. I remember that because I drove up for that.
That's right. That was a fun day. That was a fun day.
What may be the deepest tease of my life, my professional career, Kelly, in media, might have been at the end of our episode with you on your podcast, The Current. Everybody listen to that now. Plug it. But we were talking about realignment shifts or maybe even decisions that go based around that. Obviously, Texas State's had like a ton of like headlines, national like scene wise. Like, what goes into all of that, or like where do we sit now, Kelly?
I'll start off with this. We're in the Sun Belt Conference. I believe the Sun Belt Conference is the best non-autonomy conference in the land. And so we're happy being there. But when realignment starts happening, everyone starts talking about, well, if someone leaves this conference, who will go to that conference? And so it becomes like a game of 3D chess at some point. And so we're basically we're in a kind of a strange situation geographically. We're the westernmost team in the Sun Belt Conference, which is has become kind of an east-centered team, which means we have to fly everywhere. So we actually drove to Louisiana last year, or it was Monroe, one of the either Monroe or Lafayette, one of the two, and it was supposed to be like a 6-hour drive. It ended up being like 8.5-hour drive, and just was totally wearing. So I said, we'll never bus again. We're going to fly everywhere. And so we tried to save a few dollars. It didn't work for us. And so, and we ended up losing that game too. And so it's tough for us to travel anyways. And so the other options that are out there for us are, some of them are better geographically, but some are about the same geographically. And in a couple of conferences, we would be the easternmost team, and we'd have to fly everywhere as well. The difference is those two conferences, there's actually 2 time zones differences, which is kind of a different deal than I only have a 1 time zone difference. But the travel will be almost the same in those other ones. There's another one that actually geographically is pretty close for us. But the thing is, it's not like the conferences put out an ad saying, if you're interested, apply. And so you don't really apply to get in. And just like we don't actually say, hey, we're open, come talk to us. And so it becomes a dance, kind of a social media dance, where fans are talking about stuff. And so you see people in the other conferences saying, well, when so-and-so left, who should we get to replace them? And then they start saying, well, what about this school? What about that school? And then people start talking about those schools, and it starts this conversation going about, well, maybe that school would be interesting. And then so there's like a very public part of this that is actually not really close to reality, because people start saying things like, well, why don't they just join that conference right there? We can't just like join. It's not like we determine where we go. And by the way, conferences don't invite people they don't think are coming, because they don't get turned down. And universities don't apply to get places that they don't think they get into, because they don't get turned down. And so there's this dance that goes on that's semi-public and semi-private. And so when these conversations started happening about when the Pac-12 started falling apart, and then when the Pac-12, instead of just kind of dissolving the two remaining schools, when they took the schools from Mountain West, that actually fractured both of those conferences, because they only had 7 each. That left each conference with 7 teams, and you need 8 to be a conference. And so now both those conferences are starting to look like, where would we get somebody? And so I actually happen to know one of the conference commissioners pretty well. She and I worked together in Oklahoma for quite a while and got to know each other there. The other commissioner I didn't have a relationship with. But then you think about, well, what if one of those conferences to get to 8 teams takes someone from another conference? Does that open up a slot over there? And so then you just start having conversations with people, including, by the way, our home conference, because we love the Sun Belt Conference. And so I've had early conversations with Commissioner Gill just to let him know that we're not driving anything here. There is some conversation going on. And so he knew where we were every step of the way. He's actually not just my commissioner, he's actually my friend. He and I worked very closely during the last realignment. I was the president of the board of directors for the Sun Belt Conference when we brought in James Madison and Southern Miss and Marshall and ODU. And we got to be very friendly during that process. And so, so I've got to continue to build the Sun Belt and maintain the Sun Belt, while also looking out for the best interests of the university. And that's what's key for all this. And the commissioner understands that. My fellow board members understand as well, that my number one loyalty has to be to Texas State, not to the Sun Belt Conference. The Sun Belt Conference I'm very loyal to, because I'm very proud of what we did to pull together a great conference. But I always have to be paying attention to what's going on out there. Now, the fact is that not a lot is happening right now. And mostly that's because the Pac-12 is doing their media evaluation, and they just put a halt on everything. Mountain West continued to grow. They brought in Hawaii as a full program, and they brought in UTEP as well. So Mountain West is kind of set right now. The Pac-12 is kind of uncertain about what their future is, and we're just concentrating on what's really important to us. And what's really important to us is being the best we can in every sport in the Sun Belt, and continue our efforts to be the best school athletics program in the Sun Belt. We won the Bubas Cup last year. We've won it 3 of the past 6 years, I think, which says a lot about our athletics program overall. Our next goal, of course, is obviously for football to win a conference championship, and we're not going to do that this year, but we got a shot again next year, right? And so we keep building on our momentum there, and then and always, that's our number one goal. And I think we keep focusing on that. Other things will kind of come into place eventually, where people will say, hey, that's a program that we really want to have there. And then we'd have to decide, is that worth making the move?
So you said a lot of interesting stuff there.
I thought it should just stop.
I don't know where to start there, because I guess the first question I had is because you were talking about making the metaphor of like, it's kind of like a dance, right? And I want to get into that conversation of how those non-conversations go. But I've heard the metaphor, it's like musical chairs. How do you make sure that when the music stops, Texas State is in that right spot? Because that's what I think most fans are most concerned about, is that all of this stuff is changing, everything's moving, and you want to make sure that you are still in the game.
Yeah. Well, I always remind people that, if we stay in the Sun Belt, we're actually in good shape. It's a great conference. Our TV money isn't where it needs to be, but we're working on that. And by the way, those things are temporary, because you have contracts and the contracts end at some point, and we'll renegotiate the contract when time comes. Again, I love the Sun Belt, so staying where we are is actually a good result for us. And moving all the time isn't always, first, it's not easy, and it's not always the best thing to do. So we have to be very careful about where we go. Just moving for the sake of moving is not the best solution. You want to go to a place that you think raises the profile of the university if you decide to move, and one where you think you can do well in, but that doesn't disadvantage your student athletes either when you think about travel and things like that. And so those are the kinds of things we think about. And in the end, what we'll really focus on is what is best for the university and what is best for our student athletes and for our coaches.
I think one of the things that gets floated around too is like the already very vibrant like student athlete experience that exists at Texas State. Not only when you bring in recruits and stuff to tour the campus, you're like, oh wow, but like as seniors graduate, we've had 5th year, 6th year seniors now that have been like, I can't get enough of this place. I want to stay here. I want to everything. So I think that would be like probably top of mind too. Is like you can't take away like one of the biggest recruiting tools you have.
Yeah. So yeah. It's funny. I talk about San Marcos a lot, and we recruit students not just to Texas State, but also to San Marcos. And a lot of people who come here just for a tour or to visit. We got official visits for athletics, but also for people coming just to be a student here. I think they're surprised when they get here about what great of a town we live in, and what the amenities are like here. And we always talk about the river running through our campus and so on, but it's not just the river, it's the jobs, the plentiful jobs for students at the mall and downtown area. Every establishment I go to has got students working there. And a lot of our students, again, not just our student athletes, but they want to stay in San Marcos when they graduate. And I actually think that's a great thing. Is I feel like I should be helping San Marcos figure out ways to grow so there's more jobs here so people would stay,
So how does that conversation go? Because you said that a university isn't going to call a conference isn't going to call a university. So how does that happen? What goes on in those rooms?
Yeah, what typically happens is you touch base with people and say, hey, I want to let you know that if you want to chat, here's my number. And then but you don't say, you obviously don't say what all you're doing is just making contact with people and saying, if you want to chat, here's how you do that. And then it doesn't, then you kind of just in a waiting game. Again, there's no application process. There's nobody puts an ad out looking for, in search of school, kind of thing. It's pretty organic. And then what happens is typically it happens pretty fast. And I'm thinking about this from the perspective when we invited 4 schools to come in. There are a lot of schools that wanted to come in, and they were, presidents were reaching out to me, athletics directors were reaching out to ADs in the conference, and they were saying, here's what our school looks like. We think would be a good fit for you all. If you want to chat, let us know. And so, we had schools that we were considering, probably had a list of 10 schools back then. We knew we wanted to go. We wanted to add 2, maybe 4. And then it became a question of what 2 or what 4 made the most sense for the league. And then when it happened very quickly. So it's like butter in a microwave where it's solid, and all of a sudden it just melts out, right?
So the way you're describing it, it sounds like more people are calling you than you're calling them. Is that fair to say?
You mean when we were?
I'm talking about for Texas State. I'm talking about for Texas State. That people
right now.
Yeah, it feels like more people are giving you the elevator pitch than you're giving the elevator pitch.
Well, you have to be prepared to give your elevator pitch when they call, right? And so you're ready to chat and talk about what you would do. But it's a challenging environment, right? Because you want to also maintain your relationship with your current conference, and so you're not like actively seeking things out. And it's funny that the social media story was that we were like making phone calls and doing stuff, and it's just not how it works. It is sometimes done through intermediaries and so on. We had a conversation with one of the conferences that kind of happened organically, but it just wasn't wasn't at the time the right fit for us. It might be later, but it just wasn't at the time. And so again, we decided in the end, staying was better.
So if we see, because I mentioned to Jacob last year when Texas State hosted the Sun Belt Conference softball tournament that Keith Gill was around. And I was like, I wonder how many conversations are happening behind the scenes right here going like, hey, how much do you enjoy this, right? How great of a tournament is this, guys? Like, you love the Sun Belt, right? And it sounds like you guys have a very good relationship, which is good to hear.
We do. He's a good friend, and we have good communication. I just saw him at the volleyball championship, and I consider him my friend. Yeah,
I'll say I've seen him a lot more in the last 24 months than I had seen him in the previous 24 months. We'll call it.
Okay.
To be fair, Zimmel was in North Dakota for like 12.
Well, no. I'm just saying Keith Gill took over in 2018, 2019. He became the commissioner.
Yeah.
I did not see him a ton that first year, and I have seen him a lot in the last couple months. So that's good to hear.
Yeah, I've seen him at 2 Bobcat home games. I guess it could have been more, but
he's been at least every season. He's been to 1.
Okay.
Yeah, and he's got 14 schools, right? So he's got to go around, and so he was. I think every year I've been here, he's been at one of the football games.
But it is funny that you talk about like the fans saying like, let's just join that conference, because famously there was a person who was running things who kind of threw that in our face a little bit, being like, well, Texas State fans just think they can join the Big 12. Nobody ever said that. But now I do see it rearing its ugly head, because I have seen people saying, well, why don't we just join the Pac-12? It's like, all right, now hold on a second. Let's just pump the brakes here a little bit, guys. Like, let's calm down. So it's good. It's kind of funny in that way, how it's like poetic irony.
It feels like almost like online dating. Like you're setting your relationship status to single. Some people will see it on your page. Some people won't, unless they're looking for somebody to add to their own roster. So I don't know. I can see the dance kind of being weird.
It's probably pretty good. Yeah. That's probably a pretty metaphor. But it's funny. Sometimes you see university. We're in on our current conference, and then and coaches do that, players do that, presidents do that, athletic directors do that. You say you're all in, but at some point you could change your mind, right? So,
but you list all of that. I think of the hardest, because the transfer portal has made it, I think, the easiest for college students to go wherever they want to go. Coaches probably would be second. I think for university, it's like the hardest to transfer, because if you go into one conference, you're kind of there. You're kind of locked in.
Yeah, I think it is hard, and it should be hard. I think it's not good for college sports. I don't think the realignment thing has been very healthy for college sports. One of the problems I have where we are right now is that we're not very geographically put together, and that's it's a problem for us, because our travel expenses are so much, and frankly, our fans, they would love for us to be playing more regional opponents that they knew that we had history with, for example, and so. If we could wave a magic wand and all of us kind of and I've seen these, so you've probably seen them too, where people say, here's what things should look like, and here's what the Sun Belt should look like, and here's whatever other conference. If you kind of group them geographically, and I wish we could figure out a way to get back to that. You got some conferences where people are traveling free and student athletes, and it's one thing for everyone thinks about football, because football, you leave on Friday and you come back on Saturday night, a 1-day trip. But I think about volleyball, and they've got to be gone for a week when they go. If you're playing like a Thursday, Saturday schedule or something like that, so you have to leave on come back on Sunday, probably flying commercially. So that means you're probably taking, stopping somewhere. You're flying from Austin to Dallas and Dallas to somewhere else, and so you got a 6 or 7 hour plane ride somewhere. Then you got to be away from class, and so if we could all of us be in a league where we were all close by, where you could get in a van and go play somewhere and come back like it used to be in the olden days, I think college athletics would be better all across the board. But unfortunately, finances are such that people make decisions to go to different conferences based on how much money you can get for your conference distribution, and sometimes that trumps the preference for geography. In my mind, I'm thinking about geography a lot. In fact, whenever I talk about the Sun Belt, one of the things I love about the Sun Belt is 14 schools and 10 contiguously organized states where all of ours touch each other. So there's no big gaps anywhere. Now, it would be great if we had another Texas school. Not going to happen. We were already at 14 schools. And by the way, those travel partnerships actually benefit the other schools more than they benefit us, because what happens is you fly to San Marcos, what you hope, you fly to San Marcos, play there, and then you could bus the next one and then fly home from there. But you just can't do that. Everyone who flies to San Marcos, by the way, they're all flying to us. They fly to us, they basically almost always have to fly home or fly to the next place. You're not going to bus to Jonesboro or to Lafayette or to Monroe, right? So it's a burden. It's a burden for them for travel that we don't have a travel partner here close by. By the way, Arkansas State was the same way. I mean, it wasn't really close to anything else. Monroe was probably the closest school. Right.
So let's get you in trouble.
6-hour drive.
Let's get you in trouble. No. So you talk about, you said like the geographic, and you said that you have like a dream scenario, right? So what would be your dream scenario? You love the Sun Belt, but you have to rebuild the Sun Belt from the ground up. What would be the 10, 12, 14 schools in there?
No, I'm not going to get into speculation here. I would just say I would love it if all of athletics could find a way to geographically come together, because I think that would be better for the sports, better for the schools, better for the student athletes, and better for the fans who then have an affinity with the school that is competing against someone that they're friends with the school at. So, you can imagine during the big rivalry week, and, we're about to have one with Texas and A&M playing for the first time in a long time, right? It's fun for the Aggies and Longhorns who are sitting in the same, conference room on Friday afternoon to talk about, hey, on Sunday, we're going to beat you guys. Mm-hmm. And so it's that regionality, the close geography of the rivalry that makes those things fun, because you're hanging out with people who also went to school at the rival. And so that really helps make the rivalry more fun, I think. And so
we have that a little bit now with UTSA.
See, I think UTSA, someone has said recently that I think the animosity, if you will, between UTSA and Texas State is actually higher than a lot of other places. And we don't really have a long history of having played them, but we've done pretty well with them in almost all the sports except for football. And we're so close to each other.
Boop, boop, boop.
Hotel Wi-Fi.
It's like the Pac-12 calling him on the other end.
Did you like that question?
I did, but I knew he wasn't going to answer it.
Can you hear me now?
Yes. Yep.
Okay. You guys were being so quiet and still. I was going off. You should have heard what I told you. It was unbelievable. No. I revealed so much.
That's knew it.
Good.
Okay.
I can't do it now. I can't.
I know.
Of course. Now the moment is gone. You got wrapped up in emotion.
Yeah.
You spilled the beans on where we're going in the next month or two.
I did.
I will tell you, though, if we do end up moving in the next month and you came on this podcast and didn't tell us, I'm going to be so upset. I'm going to be so upset.
I've got nothing to share. Not that I wouldn't. I just, there's just nothing happening right now. So it's, there's not a lot, there's nothing to report on. So, and we're, like I said, we're really happy being where we are.
It would be so funny if you did that, because that would be the second time this happened. Like we interviewed Brady like a year after he graduated, and then he went on TikTok and told this like viral story that got millions of views, and we were like, where was that story on our podcast, bro? What the heck?
That's funny. Well, I met him, by the way. He's a good guy. Yeah, I was on the sidelines with him last year. Really enjoy getting to know him. Good guy.
You should see him when he's in Dallas with us. Let's hope we get back to the bowl game in Dallas. He knows how to shut that place down.
Yeah.
Well, how does that stuff work?
I'll keep that in mind.
How do you get selected to a bowl game? I know that's on a lot of people's minds and stuff like
that.
Yeah,
that's a great question. And again, it's not like you sign up for bowl games. You say like, hey, we want to go here or there. Things have changed over the years. It used to be that the bowl committee selected who they would get. And so in the olden days, when I was at Oklahoma, we'd be at a game in the Orange Bowl, people would be there, and the Fiesta Bowl, people would be there. And they'd be watching the game live. They could look at the fans and go, we really like to have, Oklahoma didn't have to sell itself, but the bowl committees would go and travel to the sites and go, yeah, we kind of like, and they'd meet with the athletics director and the president, and they'd really selling the bowl to the presidents or deciding what they wanted to do. Now, TV networks control so many of the bowls, and they decide where we're going to go. And the other thing is that we have bowl tie-ins by conference, and so we have 5 bowl tie-ins But last year we sent, I think, maybe 12 teams to a bowl game, and so we put in other bowls, and so we have these tie-ins, but you're not necessarily tied to those. ESPN is the biggest player in this area, and they decide based on who they think will be the best matchups for viewership. And it's not so much geography anymore. It's about viewership, how many people are watching the games, and so they kind of determine where we're going to go, and the bowls themselves have some say, but not as much say as they used to have. So it's kind of interesting in that regard. So we literally have no clue until they get announced, and you see all these projections out there. I think we're projecting like 4 or 5 different bowls, but even those bowls can't signal us, hey, you're coming. So we find out when everyone else finds out, basically at the last minute. And we loved being in the First Responders Bowl this past time. And it's kind of funny, when we got selected for it, we had no idea we were going to go there till it was announced, or just shortly before it was announced. And I was thinking, oh, December 26th, I don't know if it's a great thing for our fans, but it actually worked out really good for our fans, because they said, you know what, the day after Christmas, we don't have a lot going on. Let's just drive up to Dallas. And so again, for us, for our fans, geography matters. And if we can be close to home, that's really good for us. And if we have to go a long way away, that's challenging for our fans. There's some bowls that are, literally in a different country. And so it's really hard for people to get to, and so there's at least one bowl that's a different country.
I can tell you that from the people I've been talking to, they're trying to put Texas State in a bowl game near St. Louis because of the Budweiser distribution centers, something like that. I'm not quite sure. I don't know what the deal is with that, but
I don't know either. But that's an interesting relationship there. It's actually funny. I think what was funny, what happened at the game. We were the most watched bowl game. We're the most watched sporting event on December 26th, and there's 2 other bowl games.
That's pretty far.
We had 2.8 million people watched our game. You got to see Nash Jones for a big man touchdown. Got to see our fans coming up for the game. And you watch the bowl games. There's a lot of bowl games that don't have a lot of fans showing up at them. It's challenging for some fan bases to get out there. But we really had a great experience at our bowl game. But there's 2 other bowl games that day that involved autonomy 5 schools, and we actually outdrew them for an audience. But then, so that became a story in itself. But then the running out of beer story became the next story, and that actually gave the bowl game kind of legs. Like for the next week or so, that became its own story, and it's actually legendary. People still talk about that, and the joke you just referred to just there, that kind of made kind of a legend for the school, and I think it makes us really attractive to not the running out of beer story, but the fact that our fans were so excited about that game will make us attractive to a lot of bowls who would want to have our fan base coming, because clearly there was a hunger there to go see us play, especially that it was so close for us, for our fans.
I think it works together. It's like in conjunction, right? Like people watched on TV. That's huge. People came to the game. That's big too. Almost, I don't know if it's as big because again, TV networks kind of run everything now. But for a bowl, you're like, oh yeah, Texas State's coming. That's great. I love that.
You want to have a full stadium, right? And I think we surprised people by how many people actually showed up. What surprised me is we had a tailgate. The Alumni Association was hosting a tailgate. And I can't remember what we were charging, $50 a head to come to the tailgate. And I saw some people complaining online, like, "Oh, it's so expensive to go to the tailgate. I'm not going to. I'll just do my own tailgate." Then I discovered that it's not really easy to do a tailgate at a bowl game. They charge you a lot of money to do it, and so on. And so people came back to us, and we had over 1,500 people at our tailgate. It was, I don't know if you guys were there, but it was packed. We had a live band there, and we had people kind of show up, and we had, by that time, run out of food at the tailgate. And they said, we don't care. We want to come inside the little fenced in area just because it looked like a lot of fun. It was packed there. And when you walked from the stadium after, that whole left side, I walked in kind of on this side, that whole left side to me, which was, I think, the visitor side, was just packed. And the other side was not very full at all. And so when you're a bowl team, or you're a bowl host, you want to have people in the stadium because you're trying to show showcase that. And what was great for them is that was the TV angle, right? Our fans were the TV angle, so you could see a full stadium there. It looked really good on TV as well. So, and I think we have an exciting brand of football. We have an exciting coach, very charismatic. We score a lot of points, which makes people like to watch the game. So I think that there's a lot going for Texas State when it comes to bowl games that I think will always be attractive for them to bring us our fan base and our team.
Speaking about our guy, GJ Kinney, it was huge news last week that the regions came together and approved his eventual contract. I still don't have my hands on that contract, but rest assured, I'm on the case, everybody, trying to see
pocket watcher, bro. Guy that watches the pockets, Jacob Rodriguez.
But what is that like, just going to the table and knowing that you have a product that's so like worth that sort of investment from the school?
Yeah. Well, you don't make those decisions wantonly. You have to be thinking about what you're doing here. And, I tell the story a lot. When the university was hiring the next president, one of the bullet points in that decision-making process was a president that understood the value of athletics in higher education. And I think the subtext was someone who can, revive interest in athletics and mostly the football team. I think we were doing really well in all the other sports, but not being as successful as anyone wants us to be in football. And so we had a coaching change, and then we had pretty good success the first year. And then you could see how that kind of railed off for us in the spring and coming into the summer and coming into the football season. I mean, the predictions were that we were going to be really, really good. And it turns out we were good, just not good enough, some of the games. And so, no one's happy with absolutely no one's happy with where we are right now. We wish we'd won a few more of those games. But I believe with all my heart that we have the right person in charge to get us where we want to get. And so then you start thinking about, what would happen if we didn't have him, and what are the chances of us not having him? And the chances actually, I think, were pretty high. He's very well regarded. Again, took a school that had never been to a bowl game before. Now, of course, we qualified twice, but that was a different era. But took us to our first bowl game. We won that game. We had our very first win over a P5 school. And so, he was a very, would be attractive to a lot of schools. And so in the summer, we started having conversations with him about how do we, extend this relationship with you, because we want to be all in on you. And we want you to be all in on us as well. And he actually was. He loves the school. He had options besides us when he came here, but he thought this was a good place for him to come. And he expressed to us that he was interested in staying. And so I think everyone thinks, because of the timing, that we decided to extend his contract after we got the bowl game. But we've been talking about this for weeks, if not months, leading up to it, trying to get to the right place for him. And then, what we could afford to do as well. It's also an issue for us, is how do we manage this? And the good news is that we had great success, not just recruiting student athletes to come here, but actually getting our fans to come. Our student section set records every week, and it's the best turnout, as far as I know, that we've ever had for students. And wow. Even on Thursday, even on the Tuesday and Thursday games are tough for attendance. The students show up for those games. And then our last game, which is the weekend before Thanksgiving, so a lot of students had gone home already. We had still a pretty good student section there. If you saw there, I think we had about 3,000 students there all together. And so I think we did a really good job with students. But also our season tickets were up. Our suites are sold out. Our club section sold out. Sold a lot of season tickets, so a lot of walk-up single game tickets. And so our ticket sales were doing very good, which gives us a little bit more resources. By the way, football generates revenue, not just for football, but also for other sports as well. And so we just felt like we had to capitalize on the momentum of having this great coach come to us, that we need to keep him as long as we could. And so then we started talking about what would that contract look like. And then we talk about this for for weeks, right? And then finally, we settled on a contract, and then we had to. The reason it became public was we have to get Regents approval before we sign anything in a contract of that size, and so we had to have it on the board books for the Regents to approve, and so the Regents approved a maximum number basically for the contract, and then we have to come back to him and say, okay, now we've got a number here, so let's get this settled. And so that's what we're working on right now, is just getting to that final. We already had a deal in place, but it hadn't been signed yet because I have to wait for Regents to approve it first. So that's kind of walking you through the steps here. These are conversations that take a long time. And by the way, I'm making this deal on behalf of the university and for the sake of the university, but it also, it's on me if it doesn't work, right? So I'm taking I don't want to say a risk here, but I'm
a lot of responsibility.
I'm taking a lot of. I have to take responsibility for this. If it, sometimes this happens in other places where you sign a coach to a long-term contract that has a lot of resources attached to it, and things don't work out. The person who gets blamed is the AD and the president, and I don't take that lightly either, because we've got so much momentum going on all across the university that But I believe with all my heart that this is the right person for the job. And he believes that this is a great job for him, and so that's actually a good confluence there. And I think, by the way, when he's done such a great job recruiting people, we don't have like lots of NIL money out there that we're competing with people who have a lot of resources that we don't have. The fact that he's been able to recruit the way he has and retain students the way he has been remarkable. But I think having him committed like this gives a little bit more juice for him. When he's talking to recruits, they know who their coach is going to be next year. I know if I was a coach, if I was a student, and you're being recruited by a coach who's on the market, who's a hot commodity, you have to be thinking like, is he going to be there when I get there? And you're making commitment to the university as well as a student athlete. And so I'm hoping that, and I expect that having him tied to a long-term contract that pays pretty well. Will give some confidence to student athletes. It's this place that they want to come. Same thing with coaches as well. I think it's when assistant coaches, they want to come here.
I think it's interesting because we do a lot of pro sports talk, right? And it goes like the GM, the head coach, and the quarterback, they all need to be on the same page. Yeah. And it feels like at the college level, it's the president, the AD, and the head coach all have to be on the same page. So for you three, you, Don, and GJ, all to kind of come in around the same time, not the exact same year, but around the same time. I think that really helps the growth of like the football program, really helps like where this like whole journey's going.
Yeah. You actually hear that a lot when coaches get hired. They always talk about, consistency between the president and the head coach. By the way, I have to say something. Sometimes I think people, maybe because I'm on social media a lot and Don is not. Don is I'm supporting Don. Don is our athletics director, and he hires and negotiates with coaches. I'm his cheerleader, and so I don't want to get people to get kind of mixed up on what's going on here. We have a great athletics director. I'm so proud to work alongside Don Coryell, and I think I hear people say like K-Damp's doing this or K-Damp's. Don is driving this ship. I'm not. I'm supporting him. I want to make sure people get that clear.
Well, I think it's good too because you're on social media, which means if something goes wrong, they can yell at you and not him.
Yeah, it happens too.
You get some very unfair demands.
It happened last week.
Yeah.
What happened last week? Who yelled at you last week?
Everybody.
Everybody. Leave Kelly alone.
That's okay. It comes with it comes with the territory, right? We set high expectations for ourselves, and when we're being talked about as being one of the top schools for a G5 entry into the college football playoff, I didn't run from that. I said, hey, yeah. When I talked to alumni groups, and when I saw, like, I want to claim that, and I said, and I would say all the time, why not Texas State? You may not believe how good your school is, but your school is great. And now we've got the opportunity to do something special that never existed before, for us to do something like this. except for when we were playing back in the early 1980s when we had a great football program and we were at Division II and winning 2 national championships back to back. I mean, we had that, but being at this level of football and having the opportunity to play in a college football playoff, we could. Now we did, and you can point fingers right at me to blame me for that, and I'm happy to take that because when you set a goal and you don't hit it, that's on me. I gotta take that. But I do think we've set ourselves up here, and the realistic thing is you always want to aim for the top, and if you're making progress towards that, that's actually good. But I really believe we'll be there at some point. And just like last week in the football game, I honestly believe we were going to come back. And like I saw people leaving, and I get it. I get why people were frustrated. But like I didn't leave. I waited because I thought, and we got the ball back, or had a chance to get the ball back. Down 8, we were 1 score away, and then we had a unfortunate penalty, and that hurt us. But it, by the way, it wasn't just that play. There were lots of other things that could have happened differently. But that's how I think, though. That's how I'm wired to think that we could win a national championship. We could, should be able to win our championship on a regular basis. We're doing it in other sports. We should be able to do it here as well with the resources we're putting into it, and the student athletes and the head coach and the assistant coaches that we're bringing in here. I think we're kind of laying ourselves up here to be really special. And I think TJ believes that as well, which is why he's, wanting to stay here.
Well, I can tell you the biggest difference I've seen, because I came to campus like a couple weeks ago, like 2 or 3 weeks ago. And when Jacob and I were on campus, you see some UT gear, you see some A&M gear, you see some other gear on campus. That's just kind of what you expect. And years prior, there was no Bobcat gear. Like 2015, 2014, I don't think anybody was wearing. I came back this past week. I only had to tell one person they were wearing the wrong shirt. So, I mean, that's a pretty good size deal. And I was there for a couple hours, but I said there was one woman coming off the elevator. She was wearing some other gear, and I was like, "You're wearing the wrong shirt." But besides that, I mean, that's pretty good. Normally, I'm having to do that all the time. So this is huge.
Yeah. Well, and I'll give credit to our merchants too. When we came in 22, it was hard to find Bobcat stuff, at least locally. And it's funny. Somebody tweeted at me yesterday, why don't we have Peter Millar?
I saw that.
Said,
like the one I'm wearing. I literally was wearing a Peter Millar shirt at the time, and so but we actually have high quality gear out there now. You go to, I won't name any people, any specific people, but you go down to the square, you go to the major chains. There you can get a lot of stuff now. My closet's full of Bobcat.
You just gotta start dropping the links. When people start tweeting at you with like, "Hey, why don't we have this gear?" Just drop the link. Be like, "Hey, order it online," or "Hey, order from the Bobcat store right here. Get it done."
Well, I do think there is a massive,
and that's what I did. I actually put the Bobcat, the bookstores. Yeah, and I think the next goal for me on gear, I have 2 big goals. One, college game day coming to campus. That's a big score for me. And then, but also having more like realistic, authentic gear available. I was recently at a Autonomy 5 school, and I was in the hotel that's on campus, and they have like a little store there, and you could walk in there, and they had like authentic like jerseys from the football team, and it probably cost like $200 to buy it. But if you go to Dallas Cowboys game, everybody there's wearing a jersey, right? That's kind of like the thing you wear now. And it's hard for us to find gear out there. We got stuff that's replica, but not authentic. And so I want to get more of that. So that's a big goal of mine, to have more authentic gear from our provider. So it's because I think our fans would buy it. And,
oh my God, yes. Are you kidding me? Of course.
I think there's a hunger for that kind of stuff. Just like there's a hunger for success. But yeah. If you're can you imagine on Christmas Day opening a present and having an authentic jersey you could wear next year at the games? I think that'd be hot. Like, people would think that'd be a great gift to get.
Yeah. It's that, but it's also if you can get your kid that, right? Like if you can go give your nephew, your niece that, and now when they're 10, 11 years old,
Yes.
before Texas State was in front of mine, now they go to school, and maybe that one time they go to school wearing that jersey all of a sudden shifts 4 or 5 people's mind. And now the next thing I know, I got Boobie Miles coming on campus because I got a 5-star who's been wearing a Texas State jersey since he was in Pee Wee football. Like that's the goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I will say, my
You know-
buddy Danny celebrated a birthday earlier this month. His girlfriend texted me and was like, what should I get him? I immediately sent him the link that you're talking about that has all the massive links of every major like sporting outlet that you can get Texas State gear. And she picked him up a baseball jersey. So shout out Danny and Audrey.
There you go. Yeah. Yeah. So, speaking of kids wearing the jerseys, there's a young man who sits like in the front row, down towards the strutters end of the field. And he's there with his family every game. And he's wearing like a full on football uniform. He's got the helmet, he's got the jersey, he's got the pants on.
Get it out. Yeah.
And at the last game, I went to, we bet a golf cart we're driving around a lot. So I went to go get the golf cart while the drone show was on. And then actually I watched the drone show from outside the stadium because I was kind of getting lined up there. And so I was waiting for Beth to come out, and he and his family walked out, and they stayed for the whole game. They didn't miss, and the diehard fans. But I got a chance to say, hey, I love seeing you out there wearing that stuff. But he's like, that kid is all in. I know he can't wait to come here as a student. You gotta start building that brand early with young people where they can't wait to come here.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's poetic. Well, I know you have to probably get back to being the president of the university. You can't just mess around with us all day.
I'm trying to figure out what year
Well, I appreciate
College
you
Game
guys.
Day is coming. I think it's 2026 would be the next time College Game Day could possibly come to Texas State. So put that in your calendars. I think 2026. Because
Why not next year?
What's early 2025?
I'm looking at it. I think the game they would come to would be earlier in the year. And there's a pretty big early game in 2026 that's a rival of Texas State. I think that's when they're going to come.
Yeah.
So we need them to do their part.
That would be
and
a good one to come to.
We'll make the college football playoffs next year. They do their part, win 8 games, get bowl eligible, whatever. And then 2026 is when it'll be like, wow, Texas State coming off a national championship. Great. Let's do that rivalry game. That's my take.
I will say, Kelly, it was so funny.
But can you imagine having College Game Day at the river and having the whole Sewell Park just lined out there?
Facts.
Now,
Crazy.
what side of the river would they be on?
Why not Texas State?
Let's do it.
Why not?
We'll figure that out. We'll figure it out.
I will say it was funny when you guys did do that contract deal with GJ at the Regents meeting. Everybody was like, watch out. Tomorrow, we're moving to a different conference. That was the big tell for everybody. So this is how this conversation is full circle now.
It's like a good Seinfeld episode. You got to come all the way back to the first joke.
You do.
Yeah. All right.
Well, thanks, guys. I appreciate you.
Thank you. This is great.
I love seeing 2 alumni who are so engaged like you guys. And
how's
being on my first pod was actually fun. It worked out really well.
Very fun.
I was going to ask how the pod's doing. You enjoying podcasting?
I am enjoying it. I wish I had more time to do more of them. There's so many interesting people. And now it's interesting. We were doing video once a month. And it was always a big production where we take a camera crew and we'd go somewhere and I knew somebody. And but it was like you had to watch the video to see it. And sometimes it got kind of long. And I think people would start watching it and they say, well, that's enough. I got to move on to something else. But people like the podcast part because you can listen to it on when you're driving or whatever, or something in the background if you're working on something. And I think the format works better for people now. And now I've got people kind of coming, hey, you need to check out this person and put her on your podcast. I had yesterday someone mentioned one of our alumni who lives in Austin, but she was a movie star in the day in the 70s and 80s, and she was on TV a lot. And I didn't even know about her, but someone brought her to my attention. So we're going to try to get her on the podcast. And I feel like I need to dedicate a whole day to just doing podcasts so I get crank a bunch of these stories out because there's so many good stories out there about Texas State.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, it's going to make us look like small potatoes. It's
Straight
going to
up.
be like what
Straight
episode
up.
1 was.
Come on.
Episode 35.
You guys always do first. Yeah.
Thank God we have.
How many episodes are you guys in? Yeah.
How many do we have? Jake?
How many episodes have you guys done?
This is over 100 for sure. I don't know the exact number.
Yeah.
Because we do it in seasons, like we'll separate it out
Yeah.
too. So this is
Because we
season-
wanted Charles Austin for 100, didn't we? And we missed it by like 3.
We missed it by 3 episodes. I was so sad, but we finally did get Charles. And next time we're gonna teach Zimmel how to do the Fosbury flop, maybe over there at his place.
That'd be
I'm
great.
here for it. I'm here for it. Thank you.
Yeah, appreciate it, Kelly. Are we gonna talk about last weekend at all? Are we just gonna put that one to bed?
Hey, we don't do a React pod. This isn't
No.
a React pod.
It's not a React pod, but like we didn't even tweet about last weekend.
No, you were
game
doing
sucked,
your Emmys.
bro.
You were doing your Emmys. I was doing the Spanish broadcast for UT. No
or should I say Dale?
Yeah. Yeah, so it's like we were busy. It's not the end of the world. And also Texas State, I went back, I watched the game. Thank you, ESPN Plus. A lot of people were giving me grief online. They said, what are you trying to hurt yourself? Is this like self-harm? No, it is disappointing that Texas State struggled the way that they did. We turned the ball over 4 times. We couldn't hold on to it. We did come back in the second half. It looked like a different team after halftime. That's good to see, considering Texas State has been primarily a first half team. For them to play the way they did in the second half and to close the gap, I don't hate it.
And they held them to 6. That was cool.
Yeah. So, I mean, like, it's not the end of the world. It's one of those things where we got bowl eligibility. If you were a betting man, Georgia State stinks. We shouldn't have lost to Georgia State. There's no excuse to lose to Georgia State, but this is the difference between a good team.
Diego Pavia and Vanderbilt. That was kind of cool. And us.
Here's the
this
thing.
year.
Texas State is a good team. Not a very good team, not a great team. They're a good team. And a good team loses games like that because they don't play to a consistent level. Texas State has played to the logo on the side of the helmet a bunch of times this year, and it's proven to be true.
Well, hey, big brain, 3D chess, GJ Kinney move. We keep GJ. Boom. Big win. We keep Mac for sure. Big win. We keep Dexter McCoy. Big win. Daniel DePrado may find another job. I don't know. He could be a head coach anywhere. He's a great special teams coordinator and assistant.
I don't think he's going to be a head coach anywhere.
He'll
move up.
I think
he'll
he's
move up
wanted
to be an
something
OC
like that
somewhere
for a while. I don't know. I should
he wants
ask
to be a head coach.
100%. He's the associate right now. Everybody wants to be a head coach, buddy.
I don't think he's jumping to a head coaching spot.
You don't think so?
I think of the
I
guys
think
on
out of
the
all the
roster-
coordinators that we have, he'd be the one that would do it this year. Last year, I thought it was going to be Mac. Didn't end up happening. We got Mac
that's
again.
part for the best.
We're going to run it back.
Part is this. We joked with Damphousse talking about how like getting this contract for GG is like really big, and you could tell it's interesting. We didn't bring this up, but they were doing this over the summer. I wonder how much that JDL stuff put the conversations on pause. Huh? Do you think that you had that conversation about a contract extension when all of the uproar and the smoke is happening?
That was during the spring.
Well, they said they were talking during the spring and summer, right?
No,
that they brought this
summer.
contract?
In summer.
I'm just saying. It's just something,
I
to think about.
Do agree that maybe that could have impacted it. But if you say the summer to me, like when does the summer really end for you? Like when baseball really begins, or when
when the spring? Are you talking about when the spring ends, or what?
No, the summer. When does the summer end? Because like if you say, "Oh, I had this conversation with you in the summer," is that like August? Is that September? Is that a Texas summer? Is that October? Like
No,
like,
are you kidding me?
it's still 90 degrees in October,
Let
brother.
me tell you, no. Time out.
I'm just saying.
If we are playing football, if guys are wearing pads and winning football games, it's not summer anymore.
I don't know. I'm suspect on anything that comes from the football coaches' mouths because of everything that has happened so far this season. So, I mean, I trust Kelly that
All right, so can we move past the game? It was a suck loss. We shouldn't have lost, but that's kind of par for the course.
But maybe the Bobcats had to lose so I could win. But let me read.
I think we beat South
just
Alabama this
excerpts from text from my father, who was giving me score updates because I had terrible service. So this is at 8:35, 3rd and 7, lose a yard, punting, touchback, cat's ball, 2+ minutes remaining in the third quarter. F word, 3 and 12, 2:24 remaining, 4 and 12, punting. McLeod hit a receiver in the shoulder. Panthers on the 35, 2nd and 2, converts, touchdown, effing run. Where's that white boy? Panthers on the on the 7-yard line, run to the 20. Cats attempt onside kick. GSU ball 39. They don't deserve a bowl game. Converts with penalty, 15 yards. Sparks return for 60 plus.
But did he give you the score at all during this?
Face mask against the Cats. Yep.
Okay.
Victory formation. It's over. 52-44.
No. But I'm saying, like, with those touchdowns, did he give you an update on the score when he's like touchdown?
Yeah, I was just speed reading through most of those.
Good,
Number
good.
15 with face mask and another personal foul. Have the guts to bench players, coach. Jeez. Mario Rodriguez and the Dad Coaches Association. The Dad Head Coaches Association. None too pleased by this game.
Tough outcome for sure. Tough crowd. I don't know.
My mom apparently was watching a murder mystery show while my dad was screaming at the television. So they're in the next room screaming at the TV for a different reason. My dad's screaming at the television for the state his alma mater's football team is in.
Like I said, good
while
teams
his son
games like that
reaches the professional peak. Look at that. Pretty good.
Yeah.
How was your weekend?
Like I said, I woke up, I watched the Texas State game on replay. I knew the final score, but I didn't see how the game ended or how it played.
You're talking about Sunday?
Yeah, I'm just disappointed.
What were you up to Saturday? What was your Saturday?
I was running the Texas broadcast.
You didn't even hit me up on Saturday, really. You were like in bed by like 8:45.
I got up from Danny's house. I stayed over at a friend's house, slept on their couch, FaceTimed you.
Oh, is this the hunting story?
Yeah, it was tough.
Yeah.
It was tough. So, yeah, I was tired. I had woke up 3 a.m. the day before, drove to Austin, was there all day working, went home, not to my home, to somebody's home. No hotel, slept on a couch.
God.
You know, it's just tough.
Who has it worse? Or who has it better than us? That's what Jim Harbaugh says.
Yeah, who has it better than us? Nobody.
We say, who has it worse than us? Nobody.
Yep. No, it's all good. It was all good. Texas State losing stunk. The Vikings won. That was big. Cowboys won. That was bad. Yeah.
Cowboys won. Team of the future. Dallas Cowboys.
That weekend for the Cowboys fans.
Huge weekend for the Cowboys fans. What do you mean?
Bad weekend. Now you lost your top 10 pick.
Lose 3 more. It's okay. We'll be in the same situation. Buddy.
Yeah, I think you blew your chance. I think you're not going to get a top 10 pick.
Be all right. This draft test is pretty stocked. We'll be all right. Okay. Pick at 11? Who says no to that?
Yeah, okay. Have fun. That's you're going to be really upset when like the top 10 players in this draft are like Hall of Famers.
Andrew, I've never known this team to be successful. So like them sucking whatever, like we were talking to Kelly, like if this team did what it's doing now, which is like kind of a bummer of a season, right? For everybody who listens to the show, kind of a season for us. But if they did this while we were in college, it would be the best time ever.
My question is because of how quickly people kind of like shrug their shoulders and move on. Like it's very hard to be excited about something for a long stretch of time. I wonder if Texas State not winning the conference this year, if that hurts attendance next year, because
I've started equating it to the Steve Trout baseball team regional year to the year right after it. It's kind of a major drop off. Last year, huge expectations as well for like no reason. They didn't even do anything, and then they didn't even qualify for the damn tournament at the end. So
yeah, not great. So I'm just hoping that this isn't like the way that things pointed out.
Baseball doesn't do anything. We might have to have some tough conversations.
It was funny that you brought that President Damphousse brought up the win two, lose two, and it's like that's a Jacob Rodriguez stat. That's 100% a Jacob Rodriguez stat. So tough looks.
And apparently, I didn't know this until Reese looked up the game history. Shout out Reese Largent, but he like I guess it's like since whenever we joined the damn conference, 2013, we've won, lost, all the way up until this time. We snuck one from them last year at their stadium.
Were you talking about one loss for Georgia State?
No, Alabama. South Alabama.
Oh, South Alabama. Gotcha.
South Alabama. Yeah, sorry.
That's interesting.
I saw my own.
Pretty good.
Yeah.
So, okay. How do you feel about that? I think they're going to win this week.
We might take an L. We might take a loss, brother. Yeah. We have not traveled well this year.
Going 6-6.
Yeah.
After a 12-0 prediction from you.
Yep.
That would be tough.
But a lot of other unexpected things happened to me this season. So
Like Ben Bell. That's number one.
Yeah.
God. If that guy's on the team next year, are you buying a jersey?
You have to. I think you have no choice.
That's,
He might be playing free safety. He looks really skinny.
What would I hope that he's okay. I hope that he's like his health is fine. I actually would prefer if his health is 100% and he's just trying to get out of Texas State versus the other option, which is that he's
that UNLV next year.
Which is the other option is that he's like super ill and can't play. I hope that's not the case.
Fair.
Because
I've since this whole situation has gone down, I've wished nothing but peace, kindness, love, and respect to Ben Bell. You've been on the other end of this.
Ever since he took his hair out of the braids, I've been here for him.
Okay. So 2 weeks.
Yeah.
For the past 2 weeks.
The braids weren't a good look.
Fourth and final, not a game that's played on not a Saturday.
Thank God. This stunk. I didn't like
2:30 p.m. Friday, South Alabama, Hancock Whitney Stadium, or whatever it's called. I'm pretty sure. But yeah, I'm sick of this.
Next year, if we do more than 2, it's too many.
Yeah.
We do not need this many day games. Other schools can do it. I don't want to do it. I don't want the day games anymore. I don't want the weekday
If it worked
games.
out and we won all 4 of those, I'd be like, wow, why aren't we doing all of them?
But it never was going to happen. It was never going to happen.
If we win this one, we'll be 2-2 on the year. Right now, we're 1-2.
Can I get respect for Arizona State? The Arizona State lost. A lot of people were like, "This is a bad team." They're playing for a conference tournament or a championship,
which is even more like we could have had them. We had them. We had 4 possessions at the end of the game to get them, and we couldn't do it.
I'm just saying they're a playoff team this year. So let's just give them a little bit of respect.
And
a
now
lot of people were talking crazy.
Thanks to us, and who did they play this past week in BYU, right?
Yeah.
They put like 1 second on the clock in that game. Guess where that happened again? Right here, buddy. San Marcos, Texas. The dumbest series of football I've ever seen in my life. Put 1 second back on the clock.
You know what? They got smart because when Texas State was playing them, they cut from the game. This time, they did not cut from the game.
They stuck with the Sun Devils.
ESPN got smart, which is good for them.
They got a really good freaking coach, dude.
You like Dillingham?
Yeah.
Do you like him more than GJ?
No.
Me neither.
GJ's our guy, man. He follows me on Twitter.
He's going to be the guy for the next 7 years. So
God willing, yeah.
President Damphousse was talking about
he could have a longer lasting legacy than Fran.
Well, I hope so. I'd hope you have a longer lasting legacy than Fran. He just won a bowl game. That's a layup. That's not a hot take. That's a for sure thing. In fact, if he does it, that's a disappointment. And now with the 7-year contract, no matter win, lose, or draw, he's gonna have a crazier legacy. Because if he wins,
was Dennis Franchione the coach? Let's see.
If GJ Kenny wins, let's say he does his entire contract and he's at 7 wins every single year. So he's like 49 and what? That's 7 wins times 5.
Dennis Franchione did 40 seasons as a football coach.
Yeah, not at Texas State.
Same.
All right, let's say GJ does his entire 7-year career here. He's averaging like 7 wins a game or 7 wins a season. So he's like at 49 and 35. Okay. I would take that. I would take 49 wins at Texas State. I wouldn't mind that at all. Now, hopefully you sprinkle some 10-win seasons in there, and we're looking at more like 60-something, 60 wins, 64 wins, 70 wins over 10 years. I love that. Over 7 years. I love that.
1990.
He had 2 stints at Texas State.
You're reading.
There's an easier way to do this too. You're doing like the hardest way possible.
Yeah, the real way to do it.
You're going to Wikipedia, right?
No.
Yeah, don't do that. Just
I'm not going to Wikipedia. I'm on the team site.
Why are you doing that? Just go to collegefootballsports.com.
Oh,
and just do it there.
Yeah. Where is it? You got
College
it?
Football Reference?
You got it? If it's so easy, you do it.
It is easy. Look at this. How do you think I found out the?
I'm just saying.
I found out the Texas State was playing UTSA in 2026.
Even if we put up a stinker of a season, right? I think we're going to lose against South Alabama. I'll be honest with you. They're 6-5. We're 6-5. We're traveling there. We're playing at an odd time. We have to travel at all. They have a quarterback who's even just remotely good. We might lose.
All right. He did 4 years at Texas State. In those 4 years, he was 48-20. Is that good enough for you?
4 years?
4 years at Texas State. In those 4 years, he was 48-20.
What do they play? 16 games a season? That can't be true.
What are you talking about?
In 4 years, you say he was 48-20. Yeah,
correction.
exactly.
He was 20-28. I'm sorry. In 48 games, he was 20-28.
Oh, okay.
As an FBS coach.
Okay, at the FBS level. But he was there for the FCS, too.
Yeah, but do we care about that? I don't
Yeah,
really care
bro.
about that.
What do you mean?
Why should I care? Why should I care? Do we talk
You're
about,
right.
being great in 1981? You know why he has to say that? You know why he has to say that we were great in 1981? Because people who listen to him are graduates of that like time period and they don't want their history erased. FBS is the highest level of football for
We're the
Division I
active
schools.
history erasure podcast.
I'm just saying, like this idea that it's like, okay, here's the
if
other
we
point.
get Elite Sports to print national title shirts for 91 or 81
81 and
82,
82.
we do it back-to-back champ shirts.
Well, see, that's the thing.
That'd be kind of hot.
Technically, we were the Sun Belt champs in 2020. I don't see a lot of people talking about that.
We were the Sun Belt champs in 2020
In basketball. Yeah,
Oh, with the Nigel Pearson year.
yeah, number 1 seed. I don't know why we don't print shirts.
I'll get the conversations going with our guys at Elite Sports. Free plug.
Yeah, there you go.
Not
All
really
right.
a free plug, I guess, if they're our active partner. All right.
I'm tired, Jakey.
Thanks for squaring around, everybody.
What's your Thanksgiving plate look like?
Thanksgiving plate: turkey,
Mm-hmm.
ham, corn, green bean casserole,
Ham.
stuffing, mashed potatoes,
Your mom's
cranberry
making
sauce.
a ham and a turkey?
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Oh yeah. If we were doing it back home, this is the thing. Like my parents come up to see me now, which is nice. But we used to do Thanksgiving at my grandma's house. Everybody, a whole squad rolls up.
Yeah. All right.
Thanks for squaring,
There you go.
everybody. Happy Thanksgiving.
We don't need no badges. I don't have to show you any stinking badges.
Better not come any closer.
Thanks for listening. New episodes out every Thursday. Follow the boys on Twitter. Eat 'em up. Eat 'em up.